day that the Lord has made for us. I just want us to get right into our service tonight. I want us to pray as we get started. We've got several that we want you to remember. If you had planned, I don't know, I haven't heard anybody said that they did, but if you had planned to go to the last two camp meetings, one would have been in Mount Juliet, and the other would have been in Jackson. They have canceled those. The COVID numbers are on the rise in a lot of places in Tennessee, so out of an abundance of caution, they've canceled that. As I asked you earlier or this morning, please keep Pastor Jimmy Talley. He is at the Ministry Center in Chattanooga. He has the COVID. And then Ed Lipsey's wife, they are the pastors at South Cleveland, Dawn. She has been diagnosed with the COVID, so they're asking the churches to pray for them, and we want to do that. Now also, Brother Jerry Feathers is in the hospital. Our former pastor and his wife called this morning and said that he just was not doing good at all. So if you could remember Brother Jerry Feathers in your prayers, I know that they would greatly appreciate that. Sister Donna's sister needs to be remembered in prayer. Also the Walnut family, Brother Paul Walnut passed away this past week, and we were part of that service this past week on Wednesday. So pray for the Walnut family as you pray. If you've got a bulletin from this morning, there's still several requests there that we need to keep in our prayers. And Sherry Anderson asked that we remember her in prayer this evening also. As we do sometimes during on Sunday night, we'll take prayer requests. Sister Jane?
Charlie's first cousin, Sonny Adams, that we had on the list, who passed away yesterday.
Okay.
Sonny Adams.
Sonny Adams. Let's remember that family, Brother Charlie's family. Also, I talked to Marty and Randall. Continue to remember Sister Marty, Brother Randall. His sickness is progressing, so keep them in your prayers. Anybody else, any other requests tonight before we go forward in prayer?
Let's remember, boy.
Tracy and Keith.
Yes. Yes. William's daughter or son-in-law. Yeah. So let's remember them.
Let's remember our country.
Yeah, let's keep our country in our prayers. Anybody else? Come on. Yes, sir.
Remember me and my family.
Yes, amen.
Remember me this week.
Yeah, I'm going to have a procedure this week, so let's keep him in our prayers.
Remember Dad?
Yes, Brother Larry, keep him in your prayers too. That carpal tunnel surgery.
Remember my family.
Yes, let's remember Jerry's family. God, church, God is able. God,
Amen.
Amen. Unspoken request, I look to him. If you can stand, let's stand and take these to the Lord in prayer tonight, and then we'll sing a couple of songs and get right into our Bible study tonight. Father, God, as we come before you tonight, Lord, we're humbled by the fact, Lord, that in all your goodness, in all your mercy, Lord, and your grace, you allow us to enter right into your presence. Lord, you just allow us as your people, God, to walk boldly before the throne with our petitions, Lord, and our supplications, our prayer requests, Lord, and our desires, and our heart's needs, Lord. And God, we just thank you for the fact that you allow us to do that. And not only do you allow us to do that, Lord, but we know that if we ask in the name of Jesus, that you will hear and that it shall be done. And Lord, we have faith, God, that you are able and will do that. Lord, we pray for Brother Jerry's family, Lord. We pray for Sister Donna's sister, Lord. We pray for Wynn's daughter and her husband, Lord. We know, God, that you're able to heal and to touch. Lord, we lift up our country before you, God. We lift up Tony to you, God. And Brother Larry, Lord, you know, God, the lead to, Lord, Brother Sam and his family. God, we lift them up to you in prayer. Lord, we lift up Charlie and his family, God, at the loss of this loved one, Lord, this family member. God, we lift up Brother Randall and Sister Maudie. God, we just know, Lord, that you are able, God, to touch and to heal and to deliver. God, you are able to do above and beyond, Lord, anything that we could even ask, think, or believe. God, we're humbled, Lord, by the fact that you hear us when we pray. Lord, I pray for our former pastor, Brother Feathers. Lord, I pray for Kathy Folks, Lord. Many of these, God, as I lay my hand on this list, Lord, that need a touch from you, God, that need a healing touch, Lord. They have family members, God, that need a healing touch, Lord. I pray for the Longman family. Lord, I pray, God, for Reverend Jimmy Talley. Lord, for Dawn Lindsay, God, and many others, Lord, who need a healing touch. And God, I just pray, Lord, that you would grant that pray, Lord, that you would touch. You saw his hand that was raised, Lord, signifying an unspoken request. And Lord, you know, God, and you are touched by our infirmities, Lord. And God, we just pray, Lord, for our leaders, Lord, our law enforcement, God. We pray for our teachers, God, our school board members, Lord, as they're struggling with how to go back to school this fall. Lord, I pray for each church, each pastor, God, that's struggling, Lord, with how to continue with services, considering all that's going on, God. I pray for those churches in our area, God, the one in our area that's been vandalized, Lord. I pray, God, that you bring peace, Lord, and you bring comfort in this time of turmoil. For, Lord, we realize that we are in these perilous times that are mentioned by Paul and Timothy in the last days. And, God, we know, Lord, that only you are able, God, to deliver, Lord, and to heal and to touch. I pray for those yet to be born. Lord, I pray, God, that you would create in McMinnville and Tennessee, Lord, a culture of life. God, that life would be precious, God, from the point of conception, Lord, until you call them home. Father, I pray this afternoon, God, you know each need. You have the supply, Lord, in the very palm of your hand. And Lord, I just pray that you would touch in each one in Jesus' name. We pray, amen. Amen. Lord, I pray. as you're being seated. If you know that, say amen.
Amen.
My God can do anything. I want to give you just a couple of announcements very quickly before we go into our Bible study. This July the 12th, we will be starting our Sunday school back. And the way that we're going to do that is a little different than what we normally do. We are going to have 2 adult classes, one in the youth sanctuary, Brother Don Deal's class, and then one back on the back hall, Brother Jerry Lyle's class, and 2 completely different curriculums. So choose one of those. Come July the 12th, it'll be at 10 o'clock as normal between our 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock service. So we are going to start our Sunday school, and we will have a Sunday school for our youth, for our kids, down in the Family Life Center, so that we can socially distance those guys. We'll do our very best to keep them apart as best we can. We're going to be checking temperatures, making sure the hand sanitizer is available and all that stuff. We're going to do our very best to do our due diligence as part of our phase 2 of reopening. If you are interested in helping with our mobile VBS, please get with Brother Josh and Sister Andrea when they get back from vacation. That will be Monday through Thursday, July 13, 14, and 15. So if you want to be part of that, we're going to 3 different areas of our community, and we're going to take Vacation Bible School to them. And we just want to worship with them and give them the gospel of Jesus Christ. Also on that July the 12th, that's a big day, on July the 12th, Teen Talent will be with us in our 11 o'clock service. If you've never been here when Teen Talent has been here, they are a blessing. Their testimonies of how God has delivered them. These ladies have come through drug and alcohol addiction, some through many other trials of life, and they come and give their testimony and sing for us. And I'm here to tell you, it is just a blessing to see their smiles, to hear them sing, to hear their testimonies, and to hear what God has brought them through. So Teen Talent will be with us. Listen, if you know of somebody that is dealing with an addiction of any sort, you bring them Sunday, July the 12th. And they can hear that God is still able, through a program like Teen Talent, to deliver those who are oppressed by certain things, addicted by certain things. And then that night at 7 o'clock, July the 12th, will be our WCMA fellowship service. And that will be in the tent in Big Lots parking lot, where they have the revival. That Sunday the 12th at 7 o'clock will be our WCMA service. And it is at 7 o'clock. Usually those services are 5, but it'll be at 7. And the reason for that is it's usually a little cooler at 7 than it is at 5. So if you've ever been to the tent revival, you know a 3-piece suit is not in order. It is very, very hot. So, but we just gather and worship the Lord. And so we want to bring that to you. Sister Gina brought to you this morning a small group that she is starting, House Shoes, Heartaches, and Healing. So if you want more information on that, you can talk with Sister Gina. And we're just excited about what God is doing. Because I believe that as sure as I'm standing here tonight, that God has prepared the church for just such a time as this. I'm reminded of what Mordecai told Esther. He said, Esther, it's just possible, maybe just God has brought you up for just such a time as this. And I believe that just very possibly, God has brought the church to this place through COVID-19 and everything that's going on for just such a time as this, for us to be the light in this community. And continue to remember, I forgot to pray for them while we were praying, but continue to remember Charles Creek Baptist Church, the one that was vandalized. I'm going to tell you, it's horrible to hear about, but it's also a good testimony. They meant, obviously, by the accelerant that was used, they meant to burn that church down. But God intervened. As I said this morning, God had a plan, but God intervened. One pew was damaged, some area right there next to it, and smoke damage, but God spared their building. So let's keep Charles Creek Baptist Church in our prayers. And I believe God is going to raise up a mighty, mighty generation in these last days in which we live that is going to take the world by force. They're going to be a force for God and for good. And I just believe that God is preparing us for what He's bringing us to and through. I thought, many times I hear,
I got two questions on,
Amen, yeah.
on the 12th.
Yes.
We're just gonna have one service that day, right?
We're still contemplating that, whether to try to have two services or just one, most likely just one. And if we do, we'll prepare an overflow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be preaching in the tent? Do y'all know yet?
We don't know the revival times, we don't know yet, but, WCMA service will be Chris Harris. Chris Harris, so thank you for helping me clear that up. Yeah. So I just, it was as if God has been dealing with me, and I shared my heart with you this morning about some of the things with all of this that's going on, the COVID and just the turmoil that's in the world today. And, I was watching a little bit this afternoon how that it's going on in Nashville, and there's just so much unrest in the world that we live in today. And I've been mindful that many times we have the questions about faith and healing, or faith and sickness, and how do those two relate, and what can be said of that. And I just thought tonight maybe to do a teaching or preaching, I don't know. You just pray for me, and if you want to hear a teaching, maybe God will give me a teaching. You want to hear a preaching, then maybe God will give it that way. But I just felt impressed upon to talk about faith and healing, or faith and sickness. Because today there are those that would say, if you have faith, I've actually been told that if you have faith, you don't have to worry about the COVID, it won't get you. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there are people that I personally know that are good, godly people, faithful people, people with real faith in God that have contracted the COVID. And people that have died. There have been missionaries and pastors that have died. There have been many people, some good godly people that died with it. So to simply say that if we just have faith, then we won't have to worry about it. Now, there can still be said on the other side of that if I have faith, then even if I get it, I'm not worried about it. So that's what I want us to understand too. But I also want us to look, if you turn your Bibles with me to the book of James. Turn to the book of James, chapter 5. And I want to read two verses because we turn to these a lot of times, and listen. We understand and know that God is able to heal. We know that. We understand that from His Word, and we're going to give you some scriptures tonight. And we know and understand that faith is important. But I want us to study and look a little bit tonight. Does the Bible really tell us that if we have faith, we won't get sick? If we have faith, we won't have problems. If we have faith, we won't suffer the things of life that others do. So turn your Bibles with me to James chapter 5, and I want to read verse 14 and 15. I want to read verse 14 and 15. Listen to what James says. James, remember, is the half-brother of Jesus. James says, is any among you sick? Question, it's a question. Let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith will save the sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he has committed sins, he will be forgiven. So as we navigate through this COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic that you hear so much about, as I said, I hear people say, trust me, I hear both sides of it. And can I be honest, as your pastor, I hear both sides of it coming in, and I told you honestly, I got there yesterday, and I just finally had to say, God, I can't do it. I know I can't do it. I'm just going to have to trust you. So I just put it all in His hands. And I said, Lord, you are able. I'm not able anyway. I can't do that. And it is just as if I felt Him say, you don't have to carry that. I've got it. I've got a plan. And so I've heard people say, where's your faith? I've even heard people in the churches say, well, why are you doing things differently? Where's your faith? They might look at us and say, why are y'all sitting 6 feet apart? Why are you socially distancing? Why are you wearing masks and using hand sanitizer? Where's your faith? Well, let me tell you something. I believe as I look out across this congregation tonight, God, He'll protect you. If you get sick, you just didn't have faith. I just thought that now would be a good time for us to look at faith and sickness, or faith and health, however you want to look at it. So let me ask you some questions. Is God able to heal?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does He heal to anybody? Can anybody testify? Man, you leg you up, can you testify?
Yes.
Amen.
God heals. Amen. God, I've heard many of the testimonies. God does heal. Even right here, I can testify to you about how God heals. Did Jesus take the stripes on His back for our healing?
Yes.
Amen. Yes, He did. Now, listen. As I study and look back, Paul had problems. And anytime we like to go to Paul's writings because we love we love the Apostle Paul. And Paul, even himself, had many problems, didn't he? Paul had health problems. Paul had problems with his eyesight that God never healed. When Timothy was sick, Paul told him to drink a little wine, not go to the healing service. Paul said, you just need to drink a little wine for your stomach. When Lazarus was sick, the one whom Jesus loved, he died, didn't he? Now, we see Paul said that he had a thorn in the flesh, which he prayed for God to remove over and over again. But God didn't. God said, my grace is sufficient. Job suffered because God had a whole bigger purpose for him than mere comfort on this planet. And Job's suffering was not the lack of faith, was it? We understand that. Now, as we read his story, Job's problems actually was because God said, have you considered my servant Job? So when we look at this, I want us to just kind of go through some things here as we talk tonight. So we need to understand what is faith. And I believe that if I ask you that and we have an question and answer time, you would probably have your own certain descriptions of what faith is. But when I ask what faith is, I go automatically, where do we go? Hebrews 11:1. What does Hebrews 11:1 say? For faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. That's what faith, that's what the writer of Hebrews says faith is. When I look and do a word study, actually the Greek word for faith is pistis. P-I-S-T-I-S. And it simply means a conviction of religion, a truth of the faithfulness of God, or reliance upon Christ for salvation, a conviction of the truth of anything. Now, I ask you, is faith and belief the same thing? No, because God said even the demons believe, right? So people can believe, but does it mean that they have faith? So you see, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. As we talk about faith a little bit, I know by the scripture, as I read, that faith is required for salvation, right? Ephesians 2:8, what does the great apostle Paul says? For by grace you have been saved through what? Faith. And that not of yourself, it is the gift of God. So we realize that faith is required for salvation. We also realize that faith comes through the Word, doesn't it? So faith comes from hearing, and hearing by the Word of God, right? Faith comes through hearing and reading the Word of God. Can I encourage you on something? If your faith is weak, read the Word of God. If your faith is struggling, read the Word of God and pray. Because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. We understand that in God's Word, according to Romans 10:17. Faith is required, as the writer of Hebrews says in Hebrews 11:6, faith is required to please God. For without faith it is impossible to please God. Listen, we know as we read the Word of God in Mark 11:22-24, that faith can move mountains, right? Did Jesus not tell the disciples, if you have faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, that you can say to that mountain be removed and cast into the sea, and it has to do it. So we see that faith moves mountains according to Jesus. And faith is obviously different than sight, isn't it? Does Paul say in 2 Corinthians 5:7, for we walk by what? Faith and not by sight. We walk by faith and not by sight. We understand by reading the Word of God that faith does heal, doesn't it? If you read, I remember a man by the name of Bartimaeus. Does anybody remember the story of Bartimaeus? Blind Bartimaeus was beside the road, and as he heard that Jesus was coming, he cried out loudly, "Thou son of David, have mercy on me." And when they tried to quieten him, they said, "Hush, hush, causing a ruckus." He cried out all the more, and he said, "Thou son of David, have mercy on me." And we realize by reading that story in Mark 10 and 52 that it was his faith that made him well. We read of the woman in Matthew 15 and 28 whose daughter was possessed, was sick, and she cried out to Jesus. And Jesus said, "O woman, great is your faith. Be it to you as you desire." And the scripture goes on to say that that very day, that very time, her daughter was healed. So we realize and understand the woman with the bleeding disorder in Luke chapter 8. What did Jesus say to her? "Be of good cheer, your faith has made you well." So we realize that faith heals. What else do we realize? Our faith can be increased. Our faith grows. The apostles, as Jesus was giving them a teaching on forgiveness, and they said, "Lord, how many times must we forgive if our brother sins against us? 7 times?" And Jesus said, "Oh, but I tell you, 70 times 7. And then the apostles responded to Jesus with this: "Increase our faith." Increase our faith. Also, Jesus says that if we ask anything in faith, believing, right, that it shall be done. So let me ask you, let's discuss this a little bit. Can I tell you, I can attest for myself that God has healed many times. And it wasn't a doctor, it wasn't a medicine, it wasn't by anything of this world, but it was a divine healing. And there have been several times in my life. Many of you have attested to me the same thing in your life. So yes, God does heal. And faith is a big part of that. God has healed in my life. I've seen him heal my family. I've seen him touch in my family's life. Yet there are some that God did not heal as I thought that he would. I'm a man that was very near and dear to me. This marks 20 years that he's been gone. And I, in all the faith that I could muster, I guess you might say, walked around Centennial Hospital day after day. God healed my dad. God healed my dad. God healed my dad. God healed my dad every day. And on Friday that week, my dad passed. And I was like many of you maybe even that would say, why? That's the question we ask, right? Why, God? Why? And I'm going to tell you, it didn't come quickly. It didn't come easy. It came with me finally just allowing myself to settle in and hear from God. And I'm telling you that as sure as I'm standing here, God assured me that he did heal my dad. My cousin Charles is here today. I could say the same thing about your dad. He did heal your dad eternally. Our dads are no longer suffering. They're no longer struggling. So that is a healing. So some things we have to understand about faith is faith is important. And yes, faith is a part of this healing thing. But there are some who have faith who do not receive the healing as we think they should. Does that make sense as to how I said that? Because you see, for me, my dad's healing would have been him to stay here with me. But for God, God had a different plan. And sometimes we have to get to the place that we realize, God, your ways are higher than my ways, and your thoughts than my thoughts. And as we look at this, God has healed in their lives. There was a man, I looked at this and found this story. Wayne Jackson, who is the founder of Christian Television Network, and he writes for the Christian Courier. He wrote an article in the Christian Courier about healing. And he starts this article this way. He says, a gentleman who professed identification with the Lord became quite disenchanted with Christianity. When an interested friend asked as to the nature of his problem with faith, he replied, according to the Bible, God promised that those who follow him will be blessed with health and prosperity. And he said, as I observe Christian people, I see vast numbers who are sick and poor. I can no longer believe, therefore, in the promises of God. So how do we today answer the questions about healing? Answer the questions about faith and sickness, or faith and healing? What response would you give to this man struggling with his faith? The question is always asked many times, as I said just a moment ago, when someone passes or when someone doesn't receive a healing, we ask God, why? Why? Why didn't God heal my mother, my father, my grandmother, whatever it might be? So what is the answer to that question? Is it a matter of faith? Can we just broadly look at someone who didn't receive their healing and say they must not have had faith? Can we just broadly look at people and just say, it's simply, if you have faith, God will heal you. It's assured. So what is it? Is it a matter of faith? Is it that God is not able to heal all diseases? Are there certain things that God cannot heal? What is the answer to that age-old question? Why? So as we look at that, we wonder, who's to blame? And really, as I think about it, and I think about the Word of God, is there anyone to blame? I remember the disciples asked Jesus, they said, who sinned that this man was born lame? What did Jesus say? Nobody. Nobody sinned that this man was born lame, but that the glory might be said, but that God may be glorified in his healing. You see, Job's problems and his sicknesses. Oh, I tell you, you want to talk about somebody that could have said, well, woe is me. Well, Job could have, as he sat in sackcloth and ashes and wondered why this had come upon him. So we look at these and we say, who's to blame? Well, there might be three possible ways to evaluate that argument. Number one, it's God's fault. I've heard many people say to me, I'm mad at God, or I'm upset with God, or I'm not sure I even believe in God anymore because I asked him to heal my brother, my sister, my father, my mother, and he didn't. So we can ask the question, it's God's fault. God has failed in his promises. Either he's unable to complete his pledge, in which case he's impotent, or else he had no intention of fulfilling his bargain, which would make him deceptive. In either event, the fault would lie with God. But we know it's not God's fault. So secondly, some might say, oh, if I were just a better person, if I just had more faith, and can I tell you, that is a rightful response. Lord, help my faith. Did not the man with the son say, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. Lord, in other words, help me to have more faith in you. How many of you ever prayed that? Lord, strengthen my faith. I'm going to tell you what, in the world that we live in today, you better be praying, Lord, strengthen my faith. Amen. Because as they come for one church, they might come for another statue or another church. But church, I'm telling you, if you read what these people are saying, they're coming after us. Because they look, as I told you the other day, some are even saying that they're looking at Jesus as being white supremacy, the white Jesus that they see depicted, and they want to tear the statues of Jesus down. Well, if Jesus offends them, guess who else is going to offend them? You. His followers, right? If they are offended by a statue of Jesus, or if they're offended by a church building, then guess what? They're going to be offended by those in the church. So we might say, if I were just a better person, God's both willing and able to bless humanity with physical and material health and wealth, and invariably He does. How many of we sang that song tonight? Gwen had no idea what I was going to teach on, but we sang, I am blessed. How many of you can lift your hand and say, I am blessed? Man, am I blessed? God has been so good to me. You know, many times we talk about the war and the battle. There may be battles that we have in life, but we understand that we are going to win. God has given us victory. Victory is mine. Amen. So maybe they might say, if I was just a better person, if I had more faith. Those who enjoy wholeness and prosperity are the righteous. Those who do not are flawed in character. Any lack thereof is with man. So it might be a problem with man and his faith. Or maybe the answer might be, maybe I've misunderstood. The third possibility is that the assumptions of the argument cited above are grounded in a misunderstanding of certain passages relating to physical and material well-being. So what do you say to the one that you are saying, if you just have faith, you will be made well, and their family member is sick? What do we say to them? The third possibility is that the assumptions of the argument cited above are grounded in a misunderstanding. In this case, the problem would be with the critics' misinterpretation of certain passages. So what about each of these three theories? Let me tell you something. I think the thing that we need to understand, I've heard it put many different ways, but can I just put it this way? God is God and I am not. As I said, the scripture goes with it. It says, your ways are higher than my ways, your thoughts than my thoughts. Listen, I just have to understand that when God heals the way He chooses to heal, by taking them on to be with Him, then I just have to believe and have faith in Him that God did what was best for them as part of His plan. So listen, is it God's fault when a loved one gets sick or even passes from that sickness? Not all sickness is because of sin. Not all sickness is because of things that they have done. But if God cannot do it, He's powerless, and hence that He's not God. If the Creator will not do it, then He's malicious, thus He's not God. And if He has both the power and the will, why then is someone sick and poor? If it is a stated rule and the law that those who have faith in God are not sick and are not poor, then what do you say? What do you say about those who are sick and poor? Because there are many. Did not Jesus say, the poor you will have with you? How long? Always. So there are going to be poor people. Listen, we look out through the world today and there are literally millions of children. You hear about all these organizations that feed starving people. There are literally millions of children that are struggling with hunger. And inevitably, many of them die. I submit to you today, while everybody's in an uproar about those that are being killed at police brutality or any of these other things, I submit to you today that while we're all fussing about that, millions of babies will be killed this year in what we call choice. I got in a little discussion with some people the other day about pro-choice and pro-life. They commenced to tell me that I didn't have any right to speak into it because I wasn't a woman. I said, forgive me, but I can't speak into it because God says that He does not, He hates, as a matter of fact, the shedding of innocent blood. Is there any more innocent blood than that one yet to be born? So you see, there are those that are dying, there are those that are sick, there are those that are poor, that are struggling. Sometimes we see and we can say, well, it's a matter of decisions that they have made. It's a matter of things that have happened in their life. Sometimes it's a matter of some of the decisions they've made. Has anybody made a bad decision that you suffered because of it? You don't have to raise your hand. I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. Made a bad decision. Made a bad decision when you look back and go, man, that was, and I'll just give you one. You might think this funny, but I had bought a car. It was an older car. It was a used car. And this kind of illustrates my point about decisions that we make. See, because sometimes I think we try to spiritualize everything when everything's not spiritual. Listen, if you're a diabetic and you continue to eat cake every morning, lunch, and dinner, you're going to have problems. Oh, come on. If you're having liver problems and you continue to drink like a fish, guess what? You're going to have problems. So many times I had bought this car, and it was a good little old car. But I was driving it to work one day. I used to have to drive from McMinnville to Murfreesboro. I was driving to work one day, and somebody pulled out in front of me, and I have that inkling, and I just throwed it up in another gear and punched it, and went around them and got up real high, and all of a sudden that engine went beep. Rattle, 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 no stop. And I thought, oh, man. And it was just as if God said, you just had to get around them, didn't you? See, sometimes there are just things that we do. It's not because I didn't have faith that car died. It's not because it was not a good car. It's not because of any of that. It's because I put my big lead foot on the carburetor and it couldn't handle it. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes the decisions we make affect our lives. Sometimes I like banana pudding, and eating too much of it has put a little bit around my waist that I have trouble getting rid of. It's affecting me. Come on, somebody give me an amen, because I'm preaching better than your amen.
Amen.
Sometimes the decisions we make affect our lives.
Amen.
Thank you. I'm telling you, sometimes it's not God's fault. Sometimes it's not our fault that we don't have faith. It's just life. Now listen, why even is there sickness and death? Do we understand that? There's sickness and death simply because of one thing. Why? Sin. Huh?
It's appointed that a man wants
It's appointed that a man wants to die, so how's that going to happen? There's going to be something that takes us out. But we understand and we read that sickness came into this world because of sin. Death came into this world because of sin. God said, the day that you eat of that fruit, you will surely die. Isaiah 55:8 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. And then God goes on to tell Isaiah in verse 9, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. See, there comes a time when we just have to say, God, I just don't understand. There are many times when I'm at the bedside of a loved one at the hospital with them, and I can't do it now, and it breaks my heart. But there are many times that I'm at the bedside of a loved one, as the doctors are saying, there is nothing we can do. And the family members are saying, Pastor, why doesn't God hear our prayers? Why doesn't God hear them? And sometimes you just have to simply say, I don't know. And as pastors, many times we don't like to have that answer that we don't know, because we want to have the answer for everything. Down through history, God has been proven to be faithful to his promises. Abraham, he made a promise to him that his seed would bless all nations through Jesus Christ. That has happened. Abraham and Sarah, he said unto them, out of your seed I'll make a great nation. And they were old and 90 and 100, and God still brought that to pass. The writer of Hebrews tells that it is impossible for God to lie. So we know it's not God's fault. It's not God's fault that some are not well and some are not healed and that some may even die. So secondly, we might say, oh, if I just had more faith, if I was a better person. But let me tell you something. To look at someone and say, wow, they must not have very much faith. They're poor and they're sick. Look at them. To do that is erroneous at best. While many people can be seen of godly character and blessed, to insist that it is an absolute would be wrong. Because look at Job again. Job was blessed in the first part of his life. He had this time of trial in the middle of his life. And then the scripture says after that he was blessed even more than the beginning. But does anybody know what Job's fate was in the end? Job died just like every other man except for Elijah and Enoch. Job died. I don't know, the scripture doesn't tell us what it is that got him, but Job died. Consider Job. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar insisted that Job had sinned, which caused his misfortune. You got to read the book of Job. I love the book of Job. I'm reading it now in my daily readings. In the book of Job, I love it because These three, quote, friends are telling Job, oh man, what did you do? You must have done something horrible. Why is God allowing this to happen to you? But we know that not to be the case. As we read the book of Job, actually, Job's current misfortune was a result of God's faith in him. If you read the story, you read the book of Job, the reason this happened is because God said, hey, have you considered my servant Job? And the devil said, oh yeah, I considered him, but man, you got a hedge around him. I'd serve you too if you put a hedge around me like that and protect me. He didn't say that, but I can imagine him thinking that. Oh yeah, you just drop that hedge and let me at him and he'll curse you to your face, the scripture says. And God says, I'll tell you what, you do that. You do that. Why? Because God knew of Job's faith. You consider a man by the name of Asaph. Asaph in Psalm 73, Asaph was struggling. Now listen, many of us today still have this struggle. If you'll be honest with me, many of us today still have this struggle. We look at people that are wicked, they're vile, they're hateful, they're mean, and it seems as though in this world's goods and in this world they are blessed. Has anybody ever seen that? You look at it and you think, man, why is it? And Asaph in the book of Psalms chapter 73, he was struggling with that. Asaph said, for I was envious. Why do the wicked prosper? For I was envious of the boastful when I saw the prosperity of the wicked in verse 3. And then Asaph said that it almost caused him to stumble. Asaph said, I almost just gave up. Because I thought surely those wicked people would not be blessed as they are, but they are. And Asaph said, it almost caused me to stumble. He said that it wasn't until he came into the sanctuary and understood their end. What is their end? Destruction and desolation. Where you see, sometimes it's important for us to remember that those that are wicked, those that are vile, those that do not trust in God, those mean people that seem to be prospering in this life, guess what? That is all that they have. And when that is over, then all they have to look forward to is desolation and destruction. Godliness cannot be determined by someone's material status or health. Consider Jesus. The Son of Man, Jesus said the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Jesus didn't call the wealthy and the influential to walk with him. Paul said that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that you through his poverty might become rich. Now here's the important thing for us to remember. What is most important to God for us? What is most important to God for us, for each one of us? What is it that the Scripture says? It is his will that all be saved. It is his will that all of us might be with him, but that's not going to happen because all are not going to accept him. So his desire is he gave his only Son for us. So it's his desire that we be with him. But it's not his main desire. See, too many times, I think, and I've said something similar to this before, too many times I think we get God mixed up with Santa Claus. Santa Claus is there to meet our needs. We ask him for what we want and he gives it to us. Right? And sometimes we mistake God for something like that. We ask God for what we want and we expect him to give it to us. But let me tell you something. Do you know what God's greatest desire for you is? To be with him. Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. I said that this morning. I'll say it tonight. And Jesus said, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again. Why? Because I want you to be with me. I want you to be with me. You might consider Paul. Paul, and if you read 2 Corinthians 11, you'll find all of these perils that Paul faced. Now, Paul was a Pharisee of Pharisees. Boy, Paul was a religious leader, or Saul was, before he became Paul. And then once he became Paul, he suffered a lot of things. He was often in peril, the Scripture says. He was naked, he was cold, he was in prison, he was sick, he was stoned, he was left for dead. Paul had a thorn in his side that God never removed. Surely we would not imagine that Paul was not healed or wealthy because of a lack of faith, would we? Man, Paul had great faith. Paul was a man of faith. So maybe it's just a misunderstanding of the text. They're biblical passages that promote health and prosperity to those who are faithful. Many of these passages, though, I submit to you, and I always, as I look at a lot of passages of Scripture, I see some of these that are if-then. Have you ever read the Old Testament as God was talking to the children of Israel in his dealings with them? God would say, if you do this, and this, and this, and this, then I will bless you. If you do this, and this, and this, then I'll make of you a great nation. And as they go through that, then God on the reverse side says, but if you do this, and this, and this, if you disobey me, then I will bring all those curses that I brought on the Egyptians on you. So you see, sometimes there are these conditional passages. And many of the promises that we see from God are the if-then. Look at Exodus 15 and 26. Exodus 15 and 26. God says this, Moses says this, if you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, if you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will not put none of the diseases on you which I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. Does Isaiah 53 and 5 not tell us that by his stripes, what? We are healed. So let me ask you tonight, if you are sick in sins or sick in your body, which do you think is more important to God? Because his desire is for us to be with him, for us to be forgiven. That's his desire. We read that all through Scripture. Why would he give his only begotten Son if that was not his desire for us? So when we realize and understand that it says we are healed by his stripes, we are healed. Jesus took the stripes on his back for our healing. He took the stripes on his back. He was crucified so that you and I might be forgiven. He made the sacrifice for us. Solomon affirmed that the one who honors God with his substance, with his first fruits, will have overflowing prosperity. Proverbs 3, 9, and 10. And Malachi described the Lord as opening the windows of heaven and pouring out a blessing too bountiful for us to receive, according to Malachi 3 and 10. Several things I think that we should look at when we consider this question. We understand that with sin came death. God said that in the day they eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of the good and evil, they will die. Paul even mentioned in Romans chapter 5, verse 12, he said, therefore, just as through one man sin entered the world, and death through sin, and thus death spread to all men because all have sinned. Guess what? Brother Jerry, as you said just a minute ago, it is appointed unto man once to die. We are all going to face that if the Lord doesn't come before him. And as I said this morning, I believe his coming is soon at hand. And God was talking about both spiritual and physical death. Because when they sinned in the Garden of Eden, it separated them. They died spiritually. But then it caused them also to once face physical death. Also in the Bible, we find promises of longevity. If you read Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1 through 3, listen to what Paul says to the Ephesians. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with promise. What is the promise? That it may be well with you and you may live long on the earth. But remember, this is a principle, not an inflexible law. Do you remember there are some that die young, there are some that die of a ripe old age? Why? I don't know. Jesus' friend Lazarus got sick and died. Death came into the world because of sin. We understand that. But God has promised there are things that we can do that promote longevity. I submit to you today, and I'll be as honest with you as I can. We can do things in our physical life that promote longevity. You can live a haphazard life and honestly affect the amount of time that you live. Proverbs 3, 9 and 10, as I mentioned just a minute ago, Solomon said, honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of all of your increase. So your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine. So God does promise there are things that we can do that will promote longevity and promote God being able to pour out upon us the blessings of heaven. But if you think about it, and you study the apostles, most of them died a martyr's death. Most of them died a martyr's death. What would we say to them? Would we say to Stephen, as he was standing there being stoned and the life leaving him, would we say to Stephen, you must not have had very much faith? What would we say to the church father Polycarp, who was burned at the stake? Would we say, you must not have had much faith? What would we say to them? Because, listen, there are those who die early. There are those who live a good long life. Did they not have faith? Many today are still dying for their faith in Christ Jesus. Many today across the world are dying for their faith in Christ Jesus. What would we say to them? You must not have very much faith. However, there are many instances in Scripture and in our own lives where we can attest and testify that God has healed. You see, at the very heart of this understanding, it must be that God's most concerned with our salvation and not our comfort. Did Jesus not say, don't be surprised when they hate you, when the world hates you, for they hated me before they hated you? Does Jesus not tell us, in this world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer because I have overcome the world? Did Jesus not pray to God the Father, protect them from the evil one? We are going to have problems in this life that we live in. Too many teaching on the health and prosperity doctrine fail to realize that many times the prosperity and health that's mentioned in the Word is spiritual, not physical or material. However, there are many instances where we do read of healings, and we can attest to it today even here. And I stand before you as a blessed man, not rich in worldly possessions, but rich compared in heavenly and spiritual things. I tell you, I've heard the old saying that my Father owns the cattle of 1,000 hills, and all the oil under it, somebody said. That's not in the Scripture, but that's what I heard one guy say. I stand before you a blessed man. I remember as I read in the Scripture, God had mercy on Epaphroditus, one of Paul's companions who was near unto death, and he was healed. To draw the conclusion from this example that all of God's children will miraculously recover is not necessarily true. If you remember Elijah, does anybody remember Elijah? When Elijah was running, fleeing for his life, what did God do for Elijah? God prepared the ravens to feed him. He went beside the brook and he got water from the brook, and the ravens fed him with bread. So God can provide. Let me tell you, if you're down to your last morsel of bread, God, I believe, can and will provide. If you don't know where you're going for your next meal, God will and can provide. As the brook dried up, and as the ravens didn't have any more bread to give, God sent Elijah to Zarephath, to a widow at Zarephath who had very little left, and God provided for him there and that way. I'm here to tell you, remember Jesus told us, pray this, Lord, give us our daily bread. We are to pray in this day for what we need this day. The Bible reminds us that there is sickness that will bring death. There's a time appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment. And let me tell you, little children still get sick and die. We're not promised a carefree life. I wish I could stand before you and say, if you just have faith in God. I really wish I could, by the Scriptures that I read, I really wish that I could stand before you and say, if you'll just put your faith in Jesus Christ, everything will be rosy. Everything will be good. You won't have to worry about a thing. But Brother Jerry, I can't do that. It's not in the Scripture. It's not in the Scripture. I find that Jesus said we're going to face persecution. We're going to face tribulation. I've seen by the examples of many. Peter, James, and John. Peter and John were thrown in prison. Paul and Silas were thrown in prison. Paul was shipwrecked. I see many things that happen to good, godly people full of faith. Also, even sicknesses. Jesus tells us to be of good cheer because he's overcome the world. Let me tell you something. I'm reminded that the gates of hell shall not prevail against the church. In other words, it cannot win, Tommy. We are victorious, and we know that. But it doesn't say that the gates of hell will not come against it. It says that the gates of hell shall not Prevail. What does it mean to prevail? It means to win, doesn't it? The gates of hell will not win against the church. No weapon formed against you, doesn't Isaiah say, will prosper or prevail. I'm here to tell you, I believe in the end, all of those weapons will be destroyed. In the end, what is most important is that eternal life, that life more abundantly. God's great desire is that you and I are prepared to spend an eternity with Him, and that is only through Jesus Christ. So when I ask you, what about faith in sickness? Should we then not pray for healing? Scripture tells us, as I read James 5, Jesus said, if you ask anything, it shall be done. But I'm also reminded that James tells us sometimes the reason we don't receive what we pray for is why? Because we ask amiss, so that we can just consume it. Many times people pray for things so that they can just consume them. Our desires are not God's desires. Our will is not His will. So I believe if we pray like He has instructed us to pray. I think I told you when this whole COVID thing began that they suggested you wash your hands for 20 seconds. And if you'll pray the Lord's Prayer, it's about 20 seconds. And can I tell you that in the last 3 or 4 months, I have prayed the Lord's Prayer more times than I can even count, Brother Jerry. My hands get all broken from so much washing and hand sanitizing, but I'm doing all that I can. Do I trust Jesus? Absolutely. I trust that He'll keep me safe, Sister Linda, and I trust that if I get sick, He'll heal me. But even if I don't, you know what? There's an old song. There's an old song that says, I'm a winner either way. If I go or if I stay. You see, that's the heritage of a child of God. I'm a winner either way. If I go or if I stay. Amen. Just because we're not healed of those things that come our way does not mean that we don't have faith. It does not mean that God doesn't care. We're all going to pass by the way of death, and that's just the way it is. God loves us. God has a plan for us, as I said this morning, and we still pray for healing. We pray, and we know that God does, and many times He does, and we stand a witness to that today. But we just have to understand many times that His ways are higher than our ways. Stand if you can. I want us to pray, and we'll be dismissed. You know, God's able. God's able. You see, He's able. He's able to do whatever needs to be done in this whole world. But He doesn't just snap His finger or make it happen. You know what He does? He blesses you and me so that we can bless others. He gifts us with certain gifts that we can be a blessing to other people. He uses us to do the work that He's called us to do. As I said this morning, I just want to stand on that same word. God has a plan. And we many times don't understand what God's plan is. I just find in the Word of God that it says, trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. How? With all your heart. And lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. Oh, the healer, Jehovah Jireh. Amen. Will you pray with us? Father, God, as we come before you tonight, Lord, we realize and understand that there are many times, God, that we experience and feel and sense and see your healing power. But God, many times we don't, Lord, in the way that we desire. And God, we just have to rely upon you, Lord, and realize that your ways are higher than our ways. But God, we still have faith in you. We turn to you, God, and we put our faith and our trust in you. Now, Lord, I know that there are those here tonight that are sick. God, there are those that are struggling. Lord, those that are facing procedures, those that have had procedures. And God, I'm praying right now, Lord, that you touch them and heal them. Lord, for those that are worried about this COVID. Lord, for those that have it, God, I believe and pray, Lord, that you would heal them and touch them and deliver them. God, I have faith in you, Lord. We have faith in you, Lord. We believe that you will do, Lord, all that we've asked because your word says so. God, I just pray that you touch in our hearts and in our lives, God. Help us to understand your word as we read it, God. Help us to understand your word, Lord. I pray, God, let us grow deeper in our faith with you. Lord, I praise you and I thank you. With every head bowed and every eye closed, if there's one that doesn't know Jesus as your personal Savior, Today is the day of salvation. Maybe there's one listening by Facebook that you don't know Jesus as your personal Savior. I'm here to tell you that He has come that you might have freedom from sin. You will just ask Him into your heart and into your life. Father, we just pray right now, God, as we close this service, we pray, Lord, that you would touch. And for those that are struggling, Lord, with their faith, God, I pray increase their faith, build their faith, Lord, grow their faith, God. And we realize and understand that many times that happens by the things that we go through in life. So God, increase our faith, Lord, and help us, Lord, to trust in you with all of our heart, with all of our life, with all of our soul. God, I just pray, bless this precious congregation, Lord. I pray that you touch them and heal them, Lord, and keep them and protect them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. You might realize we're not passing an offering plate or anything. I forget to remind you sometimes, but you are still faithful in your giving. There's a bucket back there. One of our guys will have it, and you can give as you go out. And we just pray that God bless you and keep you. We'll see you Wednesday night online for our Bible study at 6 o'clock. Amen. God bless you, and you're dismissed.